What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Grow with Breeze. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Squarespace. Squarespace is one of the biggest web hosting platforms out there right now, most comparable to something like Wix or Weebly or maybe WordPress. This platform has a lot of unique features that set it apart from others, and in this video, I'm going to be going over exactly what you're going to need to know to help you decide if Squarespace is right for you. Also, for your convenience, we've also included our affiliate link to Squarespace in the video description below. So if at any time you decide you're ready to get started with Squarespace, definitely click the link in the video description. That being said, let's get into it. So there are some platforms out there that are really easy to use and really customizable, but might not have the best looking designs or the most powerful features. And on the other hand, there might be some platforms that have more sophisticated features and nice designs, but are a little bit more difficult to use. But Squarespace is known for having some of the best looking themes in the game, some of the most powerful features, and on top of all this, it is really intuitive and easy to use. Even if you don't have a ton of experience in web design, if you don't know anything about code, and you're really just a beginner, that's okay with Squarespace because with how the platform is set up, it's really simple to use and easy to figure out what you're doing along the way. To give you an idea of how easy and intuitive Squarespace is to use, I'm going to show you a quick example of what the actual website editor looks like. So here we have a website I made for an example. As you can see here on the left side, we have all the categories you need from pages, design, commerce, marketing, scheduling, analytics, profiles, settings, and then of course, hopefully nothing ever goes wrong, but if it does, the help section is right here. And then when you actually want to edit a page, that's super easy as well. You can just hit edit and it'll zoom in on the page and you're going to be able to edit everything on the site. Now there are two different types of elements you can edit on a Squarespace website. The first one is a section, and that is right here. As you can see, there's a section there. A section is basically any spot where you can put a background on, and you can also change the background of a section by hitting edit section. And you can do all kinds of things like changing the height, changing the actual background, changing the colors, all kinds of different things. Now the next thing that you can edit within a page on Squarespace is a content block. And a content block is basically exactly what it sounds like, a block of content that you find within a section. So for example, the text right here, this picture, and this button right here are all part of the same content block. There's a content block right here underneath, and it keeps going. And if you ever want to add a section, you can hit add section right here, super easy. And adding content to a content block is just as easy. All you need to do is hit this plus and you're going to be able to add whatever you want. Now to get some more in-depth detail on exactly how to use Squarespace's editor, definitely check out our tutorial on Squarespace on our channel. It's going to show you exactly step-by-step how to create and set up your own website using Squarespace. But for this, I really just wanted to give you a quick look at what the editor looks like. As you can probably tell from that example, it's super intuitive, really easy to learn. You can go into it not knowing a single thing about building a website, and probably by the end of a day or two, you're going to be proficient enough to not only finish the website you're building, but probably start a whole new one and build it even better. So as far as the actual themes go, Squarespace really has some of the best looking themes you can get. There are all kinds of different categories you can choose from, as you can see up here. If I'm not mistaken, I believe there are about 70 themes on here. It's really close to Weebly. Now keep in mind that the amount of themes on Squarespace and any other web hosting program for that matter is always changing. Things are going to be added and deleted over time. So it really is an approximation. So the bottom line is there are plenty of themes, and although there aren't quite as many themes as say Wix, these themes are a lot higher quality and look a lot nicer, a lot more professional. And overall, if the aesthetic of your website is one of your top priorities, then Squarespace is probably going to be one of the best, if not the best option out there. So as far as themes go, Squarespace does have one downside that I've seen, and that is there's not really a whole lot of variation between these themes. Now, that might not be such a bad thing. The good thing about that is it keeps everything consistent, every theme is going to have pretty much the same features, so it's not going to be confusing, and they all look really nice. That's one of the best things about Squarespace. Probably the most well-known thing about Squarespace is that most of their themes just look amazing. But the bad thing is, if you're really trying to personalize it and make it your own, there's only so much you can do. With most of the Squarespace websites you'll go on, it's pretty obvious that it is a Squarespace website. They all have a really similar look and format to them. So if you really want to get into the customization and make that website really look like your own, make it as personalized as possible, then in that case, even though Squarespace themes do look really nice, they might not be for you because you can customize a lot about them. But for the most part, these websites are going to have a really typical Squarespace look. Besides having really good looking themes and being really easy to use, Squarespace is also known for its sophisticated features. Squarespace has arguably some of the best features out there that make actions that might be complicated on other web hosting platforms so much easier and simpler to do. For example, Squarespace has some really powerful marketing tools and a dedicated SEO section that's going to help you optimize not just your website as a whole, but individual pages on the website for search engines. The system for podcasting is actually really good. And instead of just being a video player, it's actually integrated so you can upload your podcasts from your website to streaming services like Spotify and Apple. If you're running something like a nonprofit, Squarespace actually has its own dedicated donation system, which I don't think any other web hosting platform actually has. And even if they do, it's not going to be as simple and easy as Squarespace. In addition to all this, Squarespace has not one, not two, but 3 different mobile apps. One of them for e-commerce stuff, so you can keep track of all the things you're selling. One for analytics, so you can see what people are doing on your website, who's visiting it, all that kind of stuff. And then the regular Squarespace app, so you can update things on your website. There's so many tiny little details on Squarespace that are used to make sophisticated features as user-friendly as possible. Speaking of e-commerce, for that specific set of features, Squarespace is probably the best out there, excluding the platforms specifically designed for e-commerce like Shopify. Shopify is going to have a lot more features than Squarespace, but it still is a little bit competitive because Shopify is actually a ton more complicated to use than Squarespace. In a lot of situations, you're probably going to have to know at least a little about code when you're using Shopify versus Squarespace, where it's super straightforward. What I showed you in that little demonstration is basically what you get. You don't have to know code or anything about actually designing a website. So it really is geared more towards the type of user who just wants to build their website and be done with it and not have to worry about anything super complex. But at the same time, that doesn't mean Squarespace doesn't have its own sophisticated features too. Squarespace has a lot of really nice things, like abandoned shopping cart emails, for example. That's a really big one. I believe Weebly has that too, but Squarespace integrates it a little bit better as a whole. In case you don't know, an abandoned shopping cart email is if somebody visits your website and you get their email, but they don't actually buy the product that was in their cart, you can have an email sent to them to remind them with the hope that they'll come back to the site and actually buy the products. Squarespace has that and much more. And again, in addition to having all the nice sophisticated features you'll need to build a successful e-commerce store, it's a lot easier to use than something like Shopify that's definitely more advanced than beginner level. So in conclusion, my final thoughts about Squarespace. Squarespace has some of the best looking website themes out there with some of the most powerful features you can get. It has really specialized themes, and unlike the e-commerce sites like Shopify, it's really versatile. You don't actually need to make it for a store. You can make it for literally anything you can think of. And in comparison to a lot of the other site builders like Weebly, Wix, WordPress, and all that kind of thing, Squarespace definitely looks quite a bit nicer and has some more sophisticated features, while at the same time being relatively easy to use. It only really has a couple downsides, One of those being, if you really want to personalize something as much as you possibly can, make it really your own, Squarespace might not be the best for that, just because most of the themes have pretty much the same format. They all look like really recognizable Squarespace sites if you know what you're looking for. So that might be a little bit of a drawback for some people. And then it is a little bit pricier than some other site builders out there, like Weebly. I know it's a little bit more expensive than that. And then Wix is a little bit cheaper, I believe. But again, if you want to get the latest pricing, deals, and promotions, definitely check our affiliate link to Squarespace in the video description. It's going to get you all of that in real time, and you'll easily be able to get set up there. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in the next Grow with Breeze video.